The best U.S. debt calculator I've ever seen. All right, this is, I can't remember how I came across this. I was reading some blog post that got linked to it. I love this. It's fun, dude. You get caught up in this. It's called fiscaldata.treasury.gov. So straight from the U.S. Treasury, because it says treasury.gov, and it's called the debt to the penny. Oh, man, it's freaking fantastic. I love it. The debt to the penny dataset provides informative information about the total outstanding public debt and is reported each day. Debt to the penny is made up of intergovernmental holdings and debt held by the public, including securities issued by the U.S. Treasury. Total public debt outstanding is composed of T-bills, notes, bonds, Treasury inflation tips, floating rate notes, and federal financing bank, as well as domestic series, foreign series, state and local government series, U.S. savings securities, and government account services, GAS securities. Debt to the penny is updated at the end of each business day with data from the previous business day. Yeah, this, I don't know what half this stuff is. You don't either, but this is what we use to say how much debt the U.S. has. And as of 10/10, which I think was yesterday, let's see, I have to, hold on a second. Put it up for 10/11 yet. But you can see we have 35,680,634,083,932.18. All right, how much did we have the day before? We had, can't see what that says. 35. What the hell does that say, man? I can't tell you. Do we actually lose debt? We actually paid off some debt? No way. Oh, we did. We had 35,693. Look, holy crap. 35. We've actually paying down debt. 35,717,665,132.67. We've actually paid down our debt in 2 days by, that's 40 billion almost. Wow, look at us. Look at Sniffy Joe. Look at Sniffy Joe. The last 5 days we're basically right where we started. We're only was that $100 million more debt in the last 5 days. Look at that. We started 10/4 at 35,680 billion. We ended 10/10 at 35,680 billion. Holy crap, dude. Let's see what it was here, but check this out. So from 10/1 till now, we've increased our debt by $12 billion. Yeah, about $12 billion. Oddly, from 9/30 to 10/1, we increased our debt by $224 billion in that one day. That's so freaking stupid. Do you actually understand how much debt we have? Do you literally think this is an issue? I'm sorry, it's just not. It's just fake, man. It's all fake. Why do we have taxes? Why do you think they have taxes? It's a method of control. People say all the time, well, if the debt didn't matter, why do we have taxes? Come on, man. This all playing a part of this game, this facade that the debt matters, that the freaking taxes matter. Dude, they can create money out of the air for anything. They just hit a button on this thing and money's. How do you think when you go get a mortgage, what do you think happens? Do you think the bank actually has that money in the vault? No. The bank says, boom, 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 $500,000 is magically created. Borrowing increases the debt. I know that's crazy, but it's not like there's a fixed amount. Anytime you borrow, you're increasing the debt. Crazy, I know. So if you don't want debt, don't borrow. Well, guess what? That's what we argue. Don't borrow. Very interesting. Anyway, check this out. Look, I got a mortgage. I know I got debt. I don't have much other than my mortgage, but I know what it's like. We have to pay the bills to get by, and I'm not going to be able to afford a house. I don't have enough money to buy a house outright. You probably don't either, if you're my age and raising kids. All right, so let's see. We went up by $223 billion in one day. Now, why would that be? Let's take a look here. We're going to come over here. Hold on a second. Because September 30th was the last day of fiscal year 2024. And you can see right there, Q4 fiscal quarter, last day of fiscal year 2024. 2025 is a new fiscal year. So basically what did we do? We held back on some spending and then we spent it at the beginning of October because that's a new fiscal year. So we're going to say, look, our debt increased for the fiscal year 35.5 trillion for simplicity. Went from 33,442 to 35.5. So our debt increased by $2.1 trillion. Well, the same thing happened here. Our fiscal year 2023, fiscal year 2024, the debt increased on that one day by whatever that is, $260 billion. Look, This number is so gigantic, it's not going to be paid off. Let's go to the very last one. Let's see. What is the last one we got on here? Hold on a second. Back to 1993. So 1993, we had 4.2. I thought I said it went back longer than that. We had 4.2 trillion dollars in total public outstanding debt. It looks like they didn't separate it back then, but check this out. Well, let's do our calculator here. So 4.25 trillion. That has grown by 6.8% a year. Well, 6.9% a year. You can see that. So interesting. So now, what was our? Hang tight. Way cool. $71 million in debt in 1790. That's freaking awesome. I wonder how much it went up during the Civil War. Let's take a look. $58 million in 1859. By the end of the Civil War, we had $2.6 billion of debt. So 58 million, 58.5 is our present value. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years is our N, 7N. 2.68, well, 58. Okay, hold on a second. Let me figure this out. I know it. Yeah, hold on a second. Debt increased by 74% a year during that time. That's freaking nuts, dude. That's crazy. So let's keep looking here. I want to see something else here. We gotta go back. So we'll go to 1966. Let's go to 19, because remember, there's some huge recessions back then. We're just gonna go to 1895. Well, 1899. There we go. Boink. We gotta hit this guy right here. Krakow. All right, so let's see what we got. So you went from 2.7 billion, and we started paying it off to 1, 5, right? 1896. Do you not know how bad the was? Let me show you here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to bucket strategy. From 1871, we got to go to here. This is from my man Daniel Colbert's 55e.co, 55e.co. We're going to go to the S&P 500 right there, and we're going to we're going to start in 1871. Boink. Oops. Did I get S&P 500? I thought I got S&P right there. 1871. Start here. 18. What's it going to do? So look at these deflation. 6.9, 1.6. Look at these deflations. So basically from 1871, if we needed $34,000, 225. By the time the end of the century came in, 1871 to 1900, we needed $23,000. That's massive amounts of deflation. Massive amounts of deflation. 34,000. I got books on that. Hold on a second. This book yet, but this is right here. You don't even have a paper thing. The Depression of the 90s. This is the 1890s right there. Massive depression back then. Then we got James Grant's, I haven't read this book yet either. Borrowing and Lending in America from the American Civil War to Michael Millikan. Oh, but look at that, dude. So let's see, in 1871, how much debt did we have? 1871, we started with 2.3 trillion, and then it fell to 1.79 billion, then fell to 1.79 billion by the time actually it's down here as low as 1.5. So basically it almost halved. The amount of debt almost halved, and subsequently you can see massive deflation. So now let's go look at the Great Depression, shall we? Yes, we shall, because I'm controlling the data here. So we're going to go to 1920, because that's during the silent Cal Coolidge, who we all love. And we're going to go to 1940. Let's just take a gander, shall we? Yes, we shall, because I'm in control. All right, so we had $25 billion in debt in 1920. And remember, this is after World War I. So we're paying off our debt, we're paying off our debt. 17 billion by 1928. In the 1920s, if we go here, you're going to see we had good growth for sure. Here's the mass inflation. Actually, I probably should show you how much debt we took on stupid World War I. But you can see, not much inflation. Deflation, not much. So pretty heavy deflationary time. Why? Because we were paying off the money from the previous years, from the World War. So actually, let's go to 1914, just to make it simple. All right, so 1914, we had $3 billion in debt, and look at that. It went from $3 billion to friggin' $25 billion in 7 years. $3 billion because of wars, dude. So $25 billion. Then we had to pay it all back. We obviously didn't pay it all back. We just didn't, not even close. So we had $27 billion at the end of World War I, and then by the time we had 16 billion in debt. So again, we almost halved it over that time. And you can see right here, there wasn't much inflation to talk about. There's deflation, big time. All right, so what happened during the Great Depression then? We had, we'll start right here, right when FDR got elected. So 16 billion in 1931. And you can see they were not, right, hold on a second, those are debt. 19 billion, 22 billion, 27 billion, 28 billion, 30. By the end of the Great Depression, $40 billion in debt. Very interesting. So even though we were taking on debt, we were still contracting the monetary supply. Isn't that very interesting? Contracting the monetary supply, but the debt was still growing. I find that fascinating, actually. Anyway, so let's, I just want to show you something else here. 1966 and 1982, because this is when we had our massive bout with inflation in the United States. And you can see 1966, 2.93, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 6, 11, 9, 6, 7, 7, 11, 13, 10, 6. All right, so what happened then in terms of debt, how much we had? So massive inflation, 1966 and 1982. We had $319 billion in debt in 1966. So remember, we're fighting a war. 319 is our present value. How many years is that? Is that 18? That's how many freaking years is that? 1 second. All right, so that's 16 years ago. 16N, we're just say 320 for simplicity is our present value. Zero payment, and our future value at the end of 1981 was 997. So our future value. Our debt grew by 7.361% a year. 7.361% a year, and we had massive inflation, like we've never seen in the United States ever. Because most of the United States, up until that point, has been deflationary. All right, so now let's go to 1982. So 7.31% a year. We're going to go to 1982. All right, and we're going to go over the Reagan years. 1982. We're going to go to 1992. It'll be actually 1993 once freaking that guy took over. So we had 1.1 billion in debt, 1.142 billion, and we had at the end we had 4.06 billion, 4.06 billion, and that's over the course of what's that? 10 years, basically 10. All right, so let me just make sure I got that right. 1.14, yeah, 1.14 is our present value. At the end of 1992 is 4.064 future value. We got what, 10 years there? That's 11 years. That debt grew by 12.25% a year. 12.25. Interestingly enough, check this out. 1982 inflation went to 3.2, 4, 2, 4, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 3. Interesting, is it not? Yes, sir, it is. It is. So basically, we had mass increase of debt, 12% a year, without a real war, without a hot war going on under Reagan and Bush. We had massive growth in the economy, massive gains in the S&P 500. It's just a fact. We had a significantly lower increase in debt during the latter part of LBJ, Tricky Dick, and then freaking, what's his name, Carter. Massive increase of debt, and nothing happened. The economy was just dead on its rights on that time. Interesting. Massive decrease in debt in the 20s, into the 30s, and on top of that, after the Civil War. And what happened? Massive deflation. So let's just see what the last, since we'll just go over here because Obama was going to make us all talking Russian or Mandarin or whatever. We're all going to be speaking, we'll all be socialists under Obama. Look, I didn't vote for Obama. I can't stand the guy. But did we all fall for socialism? 2009 to today, 2020, let's say 2000, let's go to 10, 2024. All right, click that. We're going to click that right there. All right, let's see what we got. So we went from basically 12 billion under the last, under what's his name, freaking clown Bush, and then we went to under Obama, Big Mike, 35 trillion under Big Mike. Obama and his wife, Big Mike. That's going to be, how many years was that? It's 2009 to 2024. It's 15 years. Debt has increased by 7.39%. Debt has increased by the same amount it did during 1966 and 1982, which is significantly less than it did from the Reagan and Bush years. Debt decreased 1870s after World War I. And it did after World War II, too, by the way. Let's just look. We'll show you from 1945. But no one's going to borrow our money anymore. 1945 to 1950. Actually, I don't know that to be true. I don't think it grew much, but let's just see, shall we? Yes, we shall. All right. It went from 258 to 258. So debt did not go up at all during those times. And watch what happened. 19, what do we say? 45, and we had a couple years of mass inflation right there. That's just because the end of the war. We always have mass inflation at the end of the war. It always happens. Or this case was during the war. Well, we don't really have after the Civil War, but right here after World War One, when it stopped in 1918. This is during the war right here. The reason, that's right. Massive price controls during World War II. I forgot about that. So once those price controls were lifted, big bout of inflation, even though the debt wasn't going. Maybe debt doesn't control prices. Maybe, politics, price controls prices. I'm just throwing it out there. Anyway, so that's very interesting to me. So why did our government grow the debt by $220 billion in one day? And we're all going to be speaking Chinese no matter what, right? All right. Love your thoughts. God bless. We'll see you.